shed some light into that as well. Looks like we have someone else joining us. Welcome, welcome. So jumping right into it, what is e-commerce? I think it's to get straight to it is buying and selling things over the internet. And at this point in the game, we've all either experienced e-commerce or enjoy e-commerce, have benefited from it, and it is effectively transforming our economy and our way of life. So let's go over some simple motivations for why selling online, or really what has changed such that the experience of selling online really contrasts from selling things sort of analog or the brick and mortar way. First and foremost is the wide audience. I mean, it's pretty obvious. There's just billions of people on the internet. They're on their phones. They're chit-chatting with other people. And so being able to tap into that or play off that is going to be critical. Selling things online can provide higher margins. And we'll go into this term later on. But margins are going to really refer to the ability for every time you transact or every time you sell something or make up someone buys something from you, the portion of that money that goes to you directly as a entrepreneur or equity owner in that transaction can be higher by having an online store versus a traditional brick and mortar store. Moving on to loyal customers and specific long tail, these are two concepts that we'll go into later in the course, but they correspond to this idea of adoption and building out a recurring base of customers to buy things from. And so this speaks really to when you orient people to the 9 keys of a recurring revenue business, then you can enable them to not only have higher retention, but then they start basically selling for you, which makes helps you as a brand owner. And lastly, here I'm going to group together and be selling products globally and selling things at a lower cost. And these two concepts interplay with each other because what they enable you to do is when you have a distributed network of goods and services and people in the right geographies, you're able to spread that cost along and really, linking back to earlier, with a lower cost, you can have higher margins. So don't want to belabor this slide too much, but want to move into what to sell and really what does that look like. So
and before we jump into that, is there any comments from Andrea, Leilani, Betty, or Edith, or Sophie? Do anyone have a comment at this time? Was anything too fast? Yes, Edith.
Oh, I guess I was just going to ask a comment in regards to what?
What's just been presented these last 2 slides. Just want to make sure I'm pacing myself in a way that everyone is get a grasp. Where they're like, "No, move faster. I want to get to them. I want to get to the money making." I just want to make sure we balance things the right way for the class.
Oh, okay. No, it's good so far for me.
Okay. Thank you.
I just real quick. I apologize, Malcolm. I did see not calling you out, Edith, but I saw that you mentioned tech has a lot of lingo, and so. In an instance where someone is maybe trying to connect the concept, if are we using the raise hand feature, or are we just kind of powering through to certain points?
Definitely raised hand. Definitely raised hand. So everyone, if you're on your phone device, it will look a little different. But if you are on your PC, laptop, you will be able to see the hand at the lower portion of your screen. If you'll just simply click on it, just like I would do here. Once I click on the hand, it shows that my hand is raised. Then you can unclick it as well, and it'll take you off of there, okay? But we will stop for all hand raising because we like the hands to be raised. Woo-woo. Okay. Back to you, Malcolm.
Sorry, I was trying to mute myself. So moving along here, we see some pictures, some pretty pictures. I love these tacos look amazing. Maybe it's because I'm hungry. What to sell? Now, this may seem obvious to a lot of people, but I cannot tell you many times I've talked, to whether it be a business owner or a new student, and they spend a lot of time getting this wrong. So it's very easy to get this wrong. But what to sell can be two things, and they're typically thought of as tangible or sort of physical things, and then sort of like immaterial things. In this case, it's products. So anything requires an inventory, that requires someone to be monitoring it, replenishing it, restocking it, setting up schedules for it to be brought in and moved out. Those are the first things you can sell online. And then, excuse me. So some examples for products outside of just the tacos here and the candy and shirts, things like hair care products. Those types of that industry and those products do really well in an e-commerce setting because of the margins you get on holding cosmetic products, which don't expire that frequently, and the ability to sell it to a wide audience, a number of different skin types. Another example of products to sell that are finding more favor in the e-commerce space, like I mentioned here, clothing, especially bespoke clothing and custom clothing. These are products that we're seeing even big companies like Condé Nast. They bought, what did they buy? They bought this Nigerian app that was basically a marketplace for African clothes and goods and incorporated it into their platform. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in selling products online. I guess what I'm trying to illustrate. Another offering you can have online is going to be services. These come in the flavors of a skill set or some sort of a set of activities in exchange for compensation. Wait a minute, is that a raised hand? Steve, you have a raised hand?
Yes, and so I want everybody to be able to do that. Now, just a little quick example of that, okay? So how many of you signed up for a service during COVID when perhaps you were stuck at home? How many of you actually took the time to say, you know what, let me go ahead and sign up for maybe Apple Fitness or for a master class or something like that? Anybody? And believe it or not, the masterclass platform is exactly what Malcolm is talking about. It is a simple e-commerce. Thank you very much, Andrea. It's a simple e-commerce platform that allows for people that have a lot of name recognition or their people quotient is high to come in and tell you, you know what, if you want to cook like Chef Ramsay, you can do it. If you want to be able to direct films like Steven Spielberg, you can do it. And this is not an advertisement for their service. It just is one of those things where they took name recognition, matched it to an e-commerce platform, and they recorded their content so that people could come back in and access it. Here's a little question for all of you brilliant people in the room. And if you just don't mind, go to your chat boxes real quick. Get into your chats. How many videos do you have to record to make $1 million in a year? Okay, Edith has her hand open. Let's open the queue up here. Okay, Edith, what do you think?
When you say videos, would you mean like YouTube videos or?
It could be YouTube. It could be any video that you could sell. Let's say it was your own masterclass on your own website. How many videos do you need to sell to get to $1 million?
Oh, at least 100, if not more.
Okay. How many do you need to make?
$100.
One really good selling one.
Leilani got it. One really good video. will get you to $1 million in 1 year. It all depends on the value you offer in that video and the price point. Now, if your appetite is whet, I'm going to turn it back over to Malcolm and let him saturate you a little bit more with some of the details.
Thank you, Steve. I think to feed into that, the skill sets that we're trying, or the services that you can offer online, they offer sort of this asynchronous work-life model for you as an entrepreneur. Similar to, in this case that Steve mentioned, of a masterclass, that person may have spent maybe a whole Monday making the recording in January, but spent February through December marketing the course, getting people to buy it, getting people to, to enroll in it, have their friends sell it. So by the end of the year, what would happen in January for one recording propagated for the next 11 months. And this is this sort of system is enabled through e-commerce, and this is what we want to bring to our community, is the systematic way to program content, generate value, and be able to share yourself in a more fluid manner. So this leads us into, we've outlined the products that we can sell: cookies, tacos, shirts, services such as courses, fitness courses, or accounting, or whatever it may be. Now, where do we do that? So on this page here, we have a number of different marketplaces for where we can sell our products and services. And so marketplaces enable two things that I think is sort of overlooked, but is critical. One is feedback, dynamic feedback on what you offer. And two, they give you an insight into what people are willing to do. What are they willing to commit to bring something to others? So think of Etsy, for example. You have people ranging from a single person in their kitchen crafting something to maybe a team of real well-versed seamstress making products, making goods, and using Etsy to distribute those goods and get people to learn about what they're offering. Moving on to like something like Airbnb. I feel like Airbnb took something that had already existed for thousands of years. You think about people and housing and homes, and people have always been lodging at other people's places, but they took that entire experience and digitized it. Like they took the idea of having to go across to a foreign land and getting to know this person and getting a lay of the local land, and they said, hey, there's an app, there's all the places where you're looking for, here's your price, press yes, you'll see it in. And so I think these mental models go hand in hand with how you sell. And then of course there's Amazon. I really don't feel like I should have to speak on that. Everyone's familiar with Amazon. They bought something from Amazon. Amazon is Amazon. Moving on, and one last thing I want to say about Marketplace is I put this generic picture here for a reason, because I wanted to illustrate that marketplaces doesn't always have to mean someone made it. You can be, or you can create your own marketplace. And so e-commerce or the internet enables that agency, and we can talk about that in detail later on. Moving on to feed into this narrative of where to sell and sort of thinking of the different channels. So we talked about these digital channels like Etsy and Amazon, but there's sort of these social digital channels wherein it's not just, okay, here's a web page that you can access on a computer or a device or whatever it may be. Now there's this social component where I'm interacting with real people on the other end of these devices, and they're posting content and interacting with me. And so there's the social aspect to e-commerce as well, that if not addressed to or properly catered to, can be a hindrance to an entrepreneur. And we'll go over that as well. I wanted to take a stop. I want to take a stop after this slide here, because I want to see what are people, once you start to think about when the type of places that you want to sell, or some of the places you think should get more attention as a channel to sell. I want you to start thinking about that after this. And so the last one here is going to be kind of what I mentioned earlier, which is the different sites for local services. So in this particular case, these tools are designed to enable someone within your zip code or around your area to access services in that manner. And this has been this space is a multi-billion-dollar space. I can't tell you how many software companies or small entrepreneurs make six-figure contracts selling to a regional dentist or a regional, landscaping company. And so keep in mind of those marketplaces as well. Lastly, another one is going to be eBay. If assuming that you're not familiar with eBay, eBay is a way to leverage the act of auctioning your product online to a global audience. And so different mom and pop shops, as well as individual consumers or users, put their products onto eBay for auction. And it's one of the largest websites for transactions, but also one of the biggest platforms for individual entrepreneurs to scale themselves up and get some of those data points on how they're performing in the market. So I want to take a pause here because after this slide, we're going to go into some examples. I wanted to make sure that this is pacing well, or if anyone had any comments or questions.
Yeah, I just dropped a question in there for everybody. Where did people sell goods and services before the invention of the internet? I know it might seem like a foreign concept, but yeah, flea markets, absolutely. Classifieds, absolutely. Those were paper articles that you ask somebody that's under the age of 20, they might not even realize that paper articles actually existed to sell things in. Farmers markets, Craigslist. Now, Craigslist was a product of the internet age. It was similar to I guess storyboards or Web 1.0. That's right. We had a lot of commercials, local commercials, in stores. Thank you so much. Billboards. That's right. So how many of you all have traveled? Let's see. How many of you all have taken the trip from San Francisco to San Diego in a car?
Yep.
Okay. The billboards that you may have seen or the signages that you have seen, did you see any services that you can remember driving back and forth from San Francisco to San Diego by any chance? Does anybody remember any of those lawyers? Oh my goodness. Why would lawyers want to advertise their services there?
So they know you're about to get hit.
That's right. There's a high possibility. Collisions on I-5, absolutely big money. Lots of food and gas. Yes, the reason why there's so much advertisement there is because it's associated, a quick way to associate. Now, does it mean that advertisement works? Well, there's certain rules and regulations that the industry of being an attorney fits into. So on one hand, you say, well, yeah, that's good for them. But what does that mean for me trying to open my own e-commerce business? And if you are a trainer in here and you're having an opportunity to take a segue stop here, these are good questions to ask your class as well, because you want your class to be able to interact with you about things that are real examples that they can think of. If you live down south, there's a whole different gambit. Down south, there's casinos. If you live in certain parts of the Bible Belt, you'll have signs that will teach you about your religious destinations. So it just depends on where you are and what people are trying to push. But yes, the bigger the sign, the better off it is. So my next question to you is, where is the big sign? Where is the big sign online? Who has the biggest billboard online to put your product in? Leilani says Google or Facebook. Amazon. Edith says Amazon. TikTok. Okay, Ray, I see you over there. Instagram. Well, guess what? Everything that you all just named, including being the SEO, the search engine optimization, being the first person that comes up for a particular thing, everyone that you all just named, Pinterest, all of those are humongous billboards. So I'm going to use Robert because Robert just came into class. Imagine if Robert had their website up and Robert said, I want my marketplace to be bigger than Amazon. So I want everybody to go to my marketplace to use my store on my site. But then everyone else in the class use Shopify or eBay. Which one might gain more traction? Robert's individual site or you all using a collective site like a Shopify or eBay?
Collective site.
The collective sites work for several reasons, and we're going to dig down into those after we go through these examples. But I want you all to think of actual rationales for why collective sites actually work. Let's go through some of these amazing examples of entrepreneurship.
All right. First one we got here is the Curry Up Now team. If anyone in the Bay Area is familiar with them, feel free to speak up or had any experience with their food, but I will go first in the meantime. The Curry Up Now team started out in 2009 by Rana and Akash. They are Bay Area natives, and their trajectory as a business, I feel like really rings true to what we try to bring to this class and kind of just overall. So they started as a food truck that brought a fusion of Indian Asian food to their food trucks, and they started out with one and eventually grew the food truck into eventually opening up stores from 2009 through 2011. And from 2011 to now, almost 10, 12 years, they've been developing out their storefronts, develop out their e-commerce sites. You can go on their Instagram, you can go on their website, you can order them DoorDash. And so this is an example of taking something that they had, something near and dear to them, Indian cooking, packaging it up as a business, in this case, a food truck, and then scaling that food truck with the right, tenacity, grit, as well as marketing savvy, so that they can grow the number of people who not only buy this food, but how much revenue they generate as a business. We have a question.
Yes. As I'm dropping these links in here for you all, I want you all to give us your first take. So as soon as I drop the link in and you see what Malcolm is talking about, go ahead and give us your first take in 2 words, what you think about the site I just dropped on. Is it fresh? Is it hidden? Is it popping? Is it wild? You tell us your first take, okay? And we'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, Malcolm.
Appreciate that. The next entrepreneur we're going to take a look at. Oh, so I like this. I'm going to take a pause here. We're getting comments like simple and neat and colorful. Sorry.
No, Leilani, just with that beautiful comment that the food doesn't look great to her, but guess what? The presentation is clean. Imagine that. The food might not look appetizing, but since you have an online marketplace, it needs to be very, very clean.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. So go ahead, Malcolm. We're going to go ahead and tag team on this, and we'll be getting these honest, real-time responses as they look at these links in.
Oh, I appreciate that. And so the next entrepreneur we have up is Phil from Philadelphia. Phil makes bagels, and he started. So excuse me, Phil makes what I'm assuming are delicious bagels. I have not had these specific bagels, but Phil makes bagels, and he leveraged this business using Instagram and Twitter. So his claim to fame was using the Twitter direct messaging component to build his business. I think this is a very interesting concept because it goes to this notion of extreme responsibility and accountability, and how that builds trust when you're building that audience as you're starting out. And so Phil has gone from selling bagels in his lease apartment to finally buying a triple oven for his bagels, and getting a shop and a whole kitchen for rolling out more bagels. But I like this notion, or I like this idea of going from, oh, we got feedback from the audience. Leilani said the bagel looks pretty awesome, and the tags are pretty consistent, and a lot of people are doing split views. What does split view mean?
It means that they're actually putting themselves in there, eating it, or some type of brand merchandising going on, which is phenomenal when you have people do those type of things. And that works phenomenally well on the TikTok platform as well. So you could literally have the picture of the brand up and be eating the bagel and let people know, ooh, this is delicious, or ooh, not so much. Leilani is a great reviewer. I think it would be something to have Leilani review your products if you want Leilani to do that, because she is not going to hold back any punches. Love it.
So that's Phil. I'm going to keep moving along here, give everyone some time. So next one is we have Lulu and B, which is a perfume entrepreneur who's been selling on Etsy. So they started out in Los Angeles with a Facebook page, and I think they eventually rolled out an Etsy page after a number of folks buy with them on the Facebook page. And so now that they've have those two main channels of interacting with their clients, getting a 5-star review or having high engagement is critical for them, and it also plays in their favor. As we can see, they have over 4,000 orders and counting. And so again, this speaks to not having to be this massive conglomerate, or being this multiple team marketing agency to generate business. You can leverage existing platforms, existing communities, and your authentic self to engage your audience. I'm going to keep moving along here. Next, we have flychica.com. Flychica was started by Nikki. She's based out of the Bay Area. It was originally a passion project where she was making cards and little notes to inspire people and celebrate real life moments. And eventually, through the engagement of her audience on Instagram and Facebook, she was able to convert that engagement from her audience into consistent traffic on her website, to then generating business for herself. So again, I think as trainers, the goal here is to articulate to your audience the importance of accountability, feeding into engagement, feeding into a consistent brand and business and experience. So I'm going to take a little pause here. If anyone check out any of these two sites or have any opinions, speak up. So the next one we have here is going to be San Diego Vintage Collectibles. They do vinyl collectibles on eBay. We mentioned earlier eBay being an auction house, but you can also buy directly from there. And what I want to articulate at this point is the ability to price your products and services and being flexible in that is critical. So I want to take a pause here and ask the audience, what is the benefit of having a platform where you can both auction something and sell something at a fixed price? Auction says, Liliani says auction can drive a higher return. Edith mentioned more revenue and options for the customers. Any other features that come to mind? Betty and Jay Mentor, you guys to think anything?
And to add a little bit of difference to it too, for sites that run both of them at the same time, I have seen it work against them at times, because sometimes instead of people going ahead and making the purchase, what do you all think happens?
They chicken out.
That's right. They wait. And as a business owner that sells products or services, what's the last thing you want a person to do when they come to your site?
Abandon cart.
Wait to pay, abandon cart, right? You don't want people window shopping at your site. What do you want them to do? You want to call them to do what?
To buy.
To buy, to pay me. You want to call them to action. And if you don't call them to action, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? They're going to leave. They're going to leave. Do you think they're going to come back later? I want you all to do a quick exercise for me. If you're not on your phone, if you have an iOS operating system, an iPhone or an Android, go to either Chrome or go to Safari and look at how many tabs you have open on your phone. If you're not a person that does it that way, maybe look at your desktop or your laptop and see how many tabs you have open. Oh, you said you have ADHD. Yeah, you said you're ashamed. Ridiculous amount open. Guess what? How many of you have revisited your tabs? How many of you have gone back and revisited those tabs? Oh, that's right. We forget they're there. We go window shopping and we don't return. Now, here's something else that we ought to consider. Anytime I see a major corporation like Apple say, well, you know what? You can group your tabs together now by topic. So if you have a topic you were really interested in one day, now you can take all those tabs and put them together. They're letting us know that, guess what? People constantly don't go back to those tabs and they just linger. That's right. You're hoping they'll send you some coupons, but those coupons don't entice you to buy and you just leave the site. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was a great pause, Malcolm. Let's go ahead and jump into our next few here.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that starts the Q&A component of this section. So here's some questions that I want to pitch to the class. First and foremost, do you have a business that you want to focus on now? In this particular case, I know that we have a few trainers in this particular section. So the goal of this question is to get folks to sort of nail down a problem that they want to focus on and a product or a service they want to deliver on. Second question here is going to be, what platform works best in your opinion? And then the third question here is going to be, have you had any other success? Have you had any other successes on other platforms? So I want to take a moment here. Oh, we have. How's it going, Satoshi?
Oh, pretty good. How's it going?
No, pretty good. You just got to the Q&A section here. I don't know if you wrote these questions, but I figured to help to give everyone some chance to think on this. So we just covered what is e-commerce. We've gone over the components of what makes a product, what makes a service, And then we've discussed the different channels that you can use to sell. Some channels we're already familiar with in our everyday life, like Amazon, eBay, things like Etsy. Terms we've heard in passing, but when we look at them, they are just marketplaces. They are just channels for buyers and sellers to interact with and transact with. So we're now trying to focus on if you have a business that you want to focus on now, and if so, what are some of the best platforms that you think work in your opinion? So I just want to give everyone a chance to think on that.
And similar to last time, we're just going to go down the list and we'll give you all the opportunity to chime in. We ask that you keep your responses to under 60 seconds if possible. But I appreciate that. Leilani says, I'm a trainer. I'm here for the train the trainer portion. And we do have a mixed class this time. The reason why I just dropped in the link for Mo's Bows is not in San Francisco, but that young person you see there in that picture smiling started their business online in 2011 when they were 9 years old. Anyone can do it, okay? And you see that little snazzy bow tie that the young lad is wearing. It is snazzy. And if you go, he's a little bit older now. Yes, he was on Shark Tank. Yes, he was. He's been on several shows and things of that nature. So everything is to give you an opportunity to expound more about yourself. We're going to go ahead and start this off here. We know that Leilani just said that she's trying to start a business. So Leilani, have you had any ideas about where you want to navigate, what direction, or are you still just kind of thinking to yourself, I just need some more time to figure out if I'm going to offer a product or a service?
I mean, I mostly do that stuff freelance, like by recommendation. So I think from a train the trainer perspective, it would be good for me to have that experience in setting up an e-commerce site so I could show folks what I was able to create. But as far as like what I've actually created, it's usually been through word of mouth.
Thank you very much. And I think with that comment, I'm going to go ahead and give a huge one up for everybody here. Shopify is super fast to open up. So if you go into Shopify, I know I'm saying a lot of words, but it's Malcolm, if you don't mind, will you drop the link for Shopify in there? None of the businesses, to my knowledge, that we have given you all links to or that we have mentioned are in any way associated with paying for those mentions. I think these were all just brought on by volunteers that were setting up the slide deck and making sure that they were using local sources in order to get this done. So I just wanted to make that clarifying statement that no, there wasn't, these businesses, as far as I know, did not pay to be a part of this presentation. That's perfectly fine as well. We just want to know of the platforms that you may have been introduced to today, did you like any of those platforms? If you don't have a business to share or a service to sell, and if you have other platforms that you'd like to use over time or you've seen over time, if you want to share, you certainly can. I'm going to open it up for Andrea. Do you have, Andrea, do you have anything that you want to say about in terms of Q&A or something outside of this slide altogether?
Hi, yes. So the business that I'm interested in opening is would be a dance, fitness, and Pilates platform online to teach classes. And that would be to do live classes as well as have digital content.
Okay, and do you already have video recordings made?
I don't yet, but that's like what I'm working on right now.
Okay, and what does your setup look like for your video recordings? Are you going to use one of the higher AI tech motion sensor ones to keep movement of you while you're doing yoga and Pilates, or are you going to have someone there filming? Do you know how you're going to manage that yet?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. So I would definitely hire a cameraman and just try to shoot really well, good content that would be with like with proper sound and whatnot. I would do it like that versus, I mean, there would be times when I can shoot my own, but I prefer to like have a camera operator to like get the close-up shots and things like that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, little recommendation here, because this is what this is for. This is what we want to try to bring to the table for you all. Ultra 4K HD, everything. Okay. Also, accessibility is a big deal. It's a big deal for me having people in my family with dyslexia, also with vision impairment, sometimes hearing impairment, making sure to maybe in your speaking, when you're speaking, to make sure they're putting captioning in there, because that's a niche market. And people are like, well, oh, I never maybe thought about accessibility in Pilates or yoga, but it definitely would make sense. So I hope that will throw you out a little assist there. Okay, let's go to
Oh yeah,
Betty.
sure.
Yes, let's go to Betty. Betty, do you have anything for us today? Betty might be away from the phone at this time. Or Betty, if you're looking for the mic is going to be at the lower portion of your screen on the left-hand side. On your cell phone, depending on the type of cell phone you have, you might have to actually just press to give a response to the screen and your mic may come up. We're going to go ahead and get back to you, Betty. We're going to jump on to Edith right now. Edith, do you have anything for us this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm gonna be really transparent and say that I think I've done I have the pieces to the puzzle, but what I get caught up in is analysis paralysis.
Oh, yes.
I,
Yes.
yeah, I
What
think
bogs you down, Edith? What particular analysis bogs you down?
I think when choosing like what types of products to sell, like where do what kind of product do you sell? Do you sell water bottles? Do you sell kitchen appliances? Do you sell? There's like millions of things that you can sell.
I love that, Edith. I love that. There's two things I'm going to advise you on here, and it's one thing I haven't went over. We didn't go over this in the first time, and I most likely won't go over it now. But just know there's some very diverse people here helping and supporting in this class, and our backgrounds make it possible for us to answer pretty much all your questions. So the one thing I would say, Edith, to focus on as an entrepreneur is to start. That means sometimes that making that first choice seems like the hugest hurdle in the world, but make that first choice and then take your time and say, you know what? I did that. I did start selling water bottles. Did I perfect selling water bottles? I like to use a little bit more of an Eastern philosophy versus a Western philosophy. If I take the water bottle, something very simple, and I perfect how to market a water bottle, how to promote a water bottle online on all the social media platforms, how to perfect taking a picture of the water bottle, how to make people thirsty when they look at my water bottle. Do you all get thirsty just thinking about the idea of this water bottle, how it can quench your thirst after you've gone for a long walk in San Francisco up those amazing steep hills in a sunny day? Do you just see looking out over the bay and looking at all that beautiful, clear, crisp blue water, and you think to yourself, wow, it'd be great to have a drink of water right now. If I can perfect doing something that simple with a water bottle, then I can move on to another product. But don't let the paralysis be that you didn't know where to start, okay? Start with one thing and be great at one thing first, and then move on to the next. Let that one thing be your case study, and then move on to the next thing. Okay. Now, there are some other things that can help you. Amazon and Google both are great helps to you. On Amazon's platform, they will actually tell you what is the hottest selling items. And then you can always go in the back end of Google and you can see what are the most searched terms. Sometimes you can pull information from those things in order to help you decide what's hot and where should I focus my attention. Amazon has made a whole business of creating algorithms to determine what are the hottest trending products available. They're not the only ones, but that is the advice I'm going to give you now. Are there any questions over what I said about that?
Thank you. I don't want to go too far off topic, but I think I also worry about market saturation, and then in current climate, how how getting things, from China or whatever to here is becoming increasingly expensive and difficult. So I don't want to. I feel like I'm making excuses, which I don't want to do, but they are realities.
No, I don't think those are excuses at all. I think that's something any business owner has to consider. Market saturation. Am I reading the room correctly? And then also logistics. Am I going to be able to get goods delivered and drop shipped perhaps to the people that I need them to? Is there a manufacturer close to where I live? Is there a local manufacturer? Maybe is there somebody I can partner with to help manufacture locally? Those are all part of your business plan and about the risk management concerning your business plan. There's nothing wrong with thinking about that. I don't call that excuses. I call that great business planning. Okay. Let's jump over to Satoshi. If you're ready, Satoshi, do you have anything for us at all?
Yeah, I suppose I am currently trying to put together a clothing line, and I'd say I have about like maybe 3 garments, 100 each. I am waiting on a 4th, and I'm basically just playing the waiting game to officially get started. But there are some hurdles that I'm kind of faced with right now, which is it's that sort of that crippling doubt. I guess it's essentially the same thing as Edith's issues as well. But yeah, it's really just about getting started.
Satoshi, are you selling your items anywhere right now?
Not yet.
Okay. And do you would you be so kind as to bring maybe your item the next time, maybe so we can see what your clothing line looks like? Who's your target audience?
Urbanites, gamers, anime fans, that sort of deal.
Okay, is it unisex?
Kind of.
Okay. So I think that one, I just want to tell you, I am excited about what you're making. I haven't even seen it, and I'm excited about it. The reason why is you use the word anime, and I have a gorgeous 13-year-old daughter that will love for dad to pay $14, $15 for a pin to put in her ear with anime, and $60 to $70 for shirts with anime graphic tee characters on it. So if you simply, and this is just my advice to you, if you simply would go to Instagram and create an Instagram and literally put your clothing out there and say, DM me if you're interested. That's the way for you to start right now. It gets your feet wet, it gets product out there, and guess what? It makes you feel good, because you would be surprised how many people will look at your design and be like, wow, that's really good. Wow. And before you know it, you wake up and you have in your DMs, not the things that most people associate with DMs, you have actual clients in your DM, and it just fills your heart. You're like, I can't believe it. And then you say you had 100, right?
Yeah.
But imagine if you wake up and there's 1,000. And then your conversation is then about scale. You see, my face just lit up. But see, the reason you don't see my face is because I represent the customer in this train the trainer. I represent the person you don't see, but you hear from. And I am excited to get your product out on Instagram to see what would happen to your DMs. And as we go along in the class, to see how your DMs have blown up. And everybody in this class now goes into their Instagram and blows up your DM. Okay? Thank you so much, Sophie. I appreciate you so much for being in the class. But Satoshi, I look forward to seeing that. I think we have Tamara here. And Tamara, if you don't,
I think Robert asked a question a while back about
I answered it, I believe.
About the different services if it's not a product.
Yeah, so what I answered on that question is that if you don't have a product and you have a service, services can be sold just like products through e-commerce in a somewhat of a master class type of approach. And then If you are familiar with GitHub, if you're familiar with Fiverr, all of these people are selling services, and they're using those platforms, excuse me, in order to get it accomplished. And so I think that is answering your question, Robert. Am I missing something there? Okay, Robert might be a little busy at this time. Tamara, would you mind coming online for us and telling us what you think about this last slide here? Tamara Walker. I may be saying your name incorrectly. Please forgive me. It may be Tamara. Okay, we could be having some technical malfunctions here as well. I'm going to jump back up and see if Betty is available. And if Betty's not available, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and have some concluding remarks here and some actionable items for our next meeting on the next Monday. And we're going a roll call in 5. Oh, there's Tamara. There we go. Tamara, if you open up your mic, do you have any questions for us? And am I saying your name correctly?
You are. I was trying, my mic was off and it sent me to settings and all that stuff and it kicked me out. But you're saying my name correct. Thank you. Currently, I am actually helping my daughter launch her business, which is a hair business. Basically, she sews her own wigs. She's also able to install them too. Like if you only wanted a frontal and not the whole thing, but if you wanted a professional wig made. And right now the platform has been Instagram, you know, advertise and color cut how you want to design your wig to be made.
Do you have a link you can drop us for that?
I don't. Currently I'm driving. I'm sorry, you guys. I thought
Oh, no. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, safety first. Safety first. Safety first. So do you know anything about her return on her investment so far, and how many months or years has she been on Instagram?
So she's been on Instagram for about 7 years now. The wig business is new. She's been doing hair for as long as I can remember. Both her grandmothers are beauticians, so she learned, you know, from them originally and has expanded and taken classes to learn how to design her own, you know, hair products. Part of the problem is making sure that you're able to buy quality hair, right? Because sometimes you can order hair that is not good, where it doesn't last, you know, as long as other brands, I should say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And does she only produce wigs for women, or does she also produce, or females? Does she produce wigs for males as well?
She has not branched off into that. That's something to think about, you know, how they would want their wigs, if it was shorter or longer, you know.
Okay. So Instagram is the platform. It's been a little bit over a year. And I have to ask you, as the person that's supporting your daughter in the business, have you all broke even from your initial investments? Are you making money?
So it's hit or miss, kind of. You know, I won't say we broke even because I continuously invest in her learning more skills, I should say, and taking more classes just so she can be an expert in it. So it's like reinvested in her, I guess, I would say.
Okay. And these are the questions that I'm going to ask you all as we progress through this, because I think that, one, I think Instagram is a great place to sell hair. Okay, it is a phenomenal place to sell hair. Secondly, the reason why it's so amazing is because Instagram was originally made for picture taking. So if you have a nice piece of hair on and you take a great picture, people will be like, "Ooh, her hair is amazing. Where did she get that from? Oh, that's her hair? It looked like it's her hair? No, go over here to Miss Walker's site. You got it." Okay, it's word of mouth viral. Okay, same thing with Satoshi stuff. Instagram works amazingly well for things that photograph well. Okay, super easy. Okay, how do you see Reels and YouTube, IG, and TikTok change up, Mark? Oh, phenomenally. I mean, in terms of the quick video, we have a lot of people to thank for the quick video, but none of them are listed in the ones that you mentioned. The ones that we should be thanking is originally Snapchat. Snapchat came in with the original quick video and gave us that quick video hit, and you found that people within a certain demographic were phenomenally surprised that, oh, we can take a little quick video, it disappears, that's awesome. But then people are like, wait a second, those little quick videos have a lot of content in them. And so TikTok went and made that idea basically blow up. TikTok went and gave it steroids. It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna pump it up. And then TikTok gave you a fresher platform to use it on that made it public, so that people didn't have to have private profiles. And so everything else is Reels in IG. But guess what? The Generation Z, in terms of money, it's phenomenal the amount of advertising money that's being paid for this stuff. And so you say you feel like it's corny for older generations to be doing those TikTok dances. Well, there's a couple older people I know right now. If we're going to say old is above 75, if you're saying older, there's a bunch of older people I know right now on TikTok killing it, $100,000 killing it, because they get on there, they look amazing, they record fresh videos, they do little dances, and that corniness is taking them straight to the bank. Malcolm?
I think I think you're gonna constantly be battling what's sort of this token or fleeting trend with how do I make this cohesive for me, for my mission. And so I think as much as it may look like a pandering move for different demographics to be on these platforms, ultimately it's about engagement and call to action. And so yeah, exactly, Leilani, your statement is correct. Like, you have to be mindful of the call to action you want to have. If your call to action is to be accepted by everyone on social media, then you shouldn't be on social media, because that's not going to happen. But if your call to action is to get 5% of these people to go to my, to a site, or, to get a sponsorship or a partnership, then that is the way. So I think,
Malcolm, Malcolm, say it one more time. Are you trying to say specificity? So you won't see myself or Malcolm in these type of engagements on TikTok dancing, simply because it may not align to being international consultants, right? But what you will see are people that do it and they just have fun doing it. And so again, if it aligns with your business, it's a good thing to do. We have run the gambit of time. We like to keep it within the scope that we have. Yeah. We really appreciate all of you coming. We know that some of you have some festive holidays to enjoy with your families. Those of you that observe those things. For others that do not, we're wishing you the best of time until we see you again next Monday. We will start at the same time next Monday using the same link. So just keep it saved. An actionable item that we would love to see you all bring into the next class setting, as we begin to dig down into some of more of the nuances like digital etiquette and safety and things of that nature. We'll dig down into some of the foundational business skills. We want you to come back. Meet investors. I love it. I love it. I love that, Robert. We want you all to come back with, what do you think is the quickest way for your e-commerce business to fail? Okay. What do you think is the quickest way for your e-commerce business to fail? Okay. Now, for Robert, your question, investors and pools, I don't believe that's within the scope of everything that we're doing. We will talk about how VCs work in terms of overall business, but believe it, when we get to the Q&A, we can be able to answer questions about aligning yourself and your mission to investors and your pitch deck to investors if that's something that you want to do in the future. Malcolm, do you have anything before we close off? And Ray, if you don't mind coming back open here as well, because we want you two to end off. Can you repeat the question, please? Oh, for next time, you mean what would we like for you all to have for next time? Okay, thank you, Edith. We'd like you to come back with what is the most simple way for e-commerce business to fail? What's the most simple way for an e-commerce business to fail? Okay. Malcolm.
No, I did not keep my promise of keeping it under the 50 minutes. So y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all next week.
Ray, do you have anything,
Happy
Ray?
holidays.
No, happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe. Be kind to each other. Love on your family. Be well.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Until Monday. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.